So how do you want to intro it? What are you thinking? Beyond Kicks podcast, we talk about everything.
I'm a big stickler on material and quality. Everyone was hyping those up, and I just was not a huge. I didn't even go for them.
I just fell in love with shoes from that.
I think it's another money grab. So that's why I think this podcast will be really interesting.
You came up basketball, and I'm skateboarding. They pretty much they are sneaker culture.
I say we just introduce who we are and kind of what we already do on social media, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I think a lot of it's I want to be kind of casual with it because that's
Exactly.
more fun, I think, and just
why
kind
I'm
of have
I don't
fun,
wanna
like what we're
script.
doing right now. Exactly.
Exactly.
I think including this in the podcast is kind of cool because then people are like, all right, this is
It's
not
legit.
bullshit.
Yeah.
It's like a
It's
regular.
very from the hip.
Yeah. What should we? I'm curious because I know in podcasts I listen to and stuff, there's usually a lead voice. I think if we just split it up, like Colin and Samir, your guys.
Exactly.
Yeah, that works.
That's the way to do it, though.
Beyond Kicks, we're going to be talking about shoes and releases and everything shoes, I guess. Just what do we want to label it as? Because
see, that's my other thing too. I'm like, this is the Beyond Kicks podcast. We talk about everything. We talk about all the new sneakers coming out.
Yep.
Our history and opinions on current sneakers, whatever it may be.
Yeah, I think we just start it, and I mean, we can. I like to. I mean, if we want to include this type of banter,
But yeah. So, do you want to just introduce yourself and then go into why you chose sneakers and why you make content around sneakers?
Yeah. So I am Charlie, otherwise known as Winona Kicks. I've been making sneaker-related content for it'll be 3 years here in October. It feels like I just kind of started yesterday. I'm still pretty new.
Has it really been that
long?
long?
It's been 3 years. It doesn't seem that long, but I'm still you always get the feedback on social media with all the OG sneakerheads or the people that have been in it since 2015, 2016. They're like, oh, and this was more during COVID because there's a lot of newer content creators kind of popping up, such as myself, and
I was one of those.
Since then, exactly, yeah. And so since then, a lot of them have kind of dipped out and haven't had the longevity that I have or you have. So it's been it's been almost 3 years. I kind of have an interesting journey on how I started making sneaker related content. So it started with reselling sneakers and just making content around that. And so I was flipping other stuff. I was flipping PlayStations. I was flipping Apple Watches in my dorm freshman year because I was broke like every other college student. And I bought a pair of Jordan Legacy 312s, the USA edition, for $30 on Poshmark. And I'd always watched sneaker YouTube for Harrison Neville and Kais and all these guys over the years, and I'd never had the money. I was never old enough to really I'm going to spend $200 on a pair of shoes and wear them and flip them. And
especially growing up, man, I don't know how people can afford that stuff. I'm just it took me forever probably before I bought my first $200 pair of shoes.
Exactly.
It was crazy.
I think you kind of have to get out of the house and kind of fend for your own money until you realize how expensive the hobby is and stuff, and until you really get into it. So, it started from a place of trying to make money. And so I bought those Legacies for $30. I think it was 35 with shipping, and I ended up flipping them for $80. And so I was like, well, and it was in 12 hours. I sold them on Facebook, and I was like, well, this is if I just do this a bunch of times, that would work. And so it started with not even hype pairs. A lot of people when they start reselling, it's always body and Yeezys or trying to hit manual on pairs. And it's there's a lot of pairs that just don't have a lot of margin, especially Yeezys. When 350s are kind of slowing down a couple of years, a year ago, a lot of the margin was gone, or you'd make lunch money on them and you'd make $15, $20. And it's you can buy these pairs that nobody really even thinks about. I resold a lot of mids because there was a lot of girls in COVID, in smaller sizes. You buy a pair of mids that came out a couple of years ago. That's pretty limited now, that you could flip for $50 to $200. And it's people don't think about that. So
those are hard to come by too. Even the new lows and the mids. When I worked at Champs, man, every time we would get a box in, there'd be a line out the door, and I'm like, for mids, okay. But
Exactly.
I mean, like,
Exactly.
everyone's buying them to wear them or buy them to flip them, and they were selling out like crazy. It was insane.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's, and I don't personally wear mids. I have nothing against it, but they just don't fit my feet right. So I've never um, bought in mids, but it's always been lows or highs for me. And so
Yeah.
it started with reselling. I was selling all these lower end pairs, and a lot of it was learning how to restore pairs as well. Where I'd get a cleaning kit from Rejuvenator or whatever I had at the time, and I learned to restore them. And so that was like building value into the shoes. And so I was following social media and all this, TikTok, right when it was starting to come out, and um, I saw a bunch of people making like Instagram accounts, like the reselling accounts, like post your pairs for sale. So I was like,
Yeah.
hey, like, why not do this? And so I remember posting my first pair, and it was like maybe I had like 8 followers, and it was like my girlfriend liked it, my other account liked it,
Oh yeah.
like it was just, it was posting it to nobody, and then I'd repost it on like my main profile, like my like personal profile, and that was that. And then I got a comment from somebody on the pair of shoes because I always do hashtags and all that. So I just got a random comment from a guy like, "How do you ship out shoes?" Like, because I started offering shipping, and
Yeah.
I was really selling on platforms like Mercari, and I built up a lot of reviews on there, and eBay and Poshmark and Depop, and I kind of narrowed it down to Mercari, eBay, and Goat because of fees and shipping and stuff like that and customer support. And so I got a comment on Instagram like, "How do you ship this?" And so I made like a 10-second video on here's my roll label printer, and I get
Oh
10
nice.
by or 12 by 8 by 6 boxes and get this certain shipping tape, and it's like lowest margin. And then I posted that to just Instagram because before they had reels, and then I made a TikTok account as well, and I think it got like a couple hundred views. And so that just kind of started. I just was replying to comments. It was my first 100 videos or so, and then it started to turn into content like I just got this pair in, or I'm cleaning this pair, making cleaning videos. And then it just kind of tumbled into what it became. And
Yeah.
then about a year and a half ago, I got a job marketing, and
Mm-hmm.
I built up probably 55,000 followers on TikTok and about 10K on Instagram. And I got a job marketing for a motorsports company, and I knew the owner through a family friend, and he knew I was
Mm-hmm.
going to college for digital marketing. And essentially, I was like, I've kind of done this thing on TikTok, and I don't know anything about ATVs or anything like that, but I kind of have an idea of how to do this social media thing a little bit. And I kind of just, he had no idea about internet. They didn't have Facebook accounts. They actually had like 5 different Instagram accounts for each location. And it was just all a mess. And so
Yeah.
I started doing that for the summer, and I stopped reselling. And I switched completely. My sneaker content went to just content. It wasn't reselling anymore. And I decided this is starting to take off content wise, and I'm not reselling anymore because I got this new job marketing, and I just didn't have the time for it. And so I made a conscious decision to kind of switch my content around from just selfie videos on my phone to higher production videos on new pairs or unboxings or hidden features on shoes. And so I switched it up
Yeah.
a little bit. And then meanwhile, I was making TikToks for the motorsports dealership. In 6 months,
Mm-hmm.
we hit 100,000 followers on there. And
Wow.
so that took off, as well as my own stuff took off. And I actually hit 100K on the work TikTok before I hit it on mine. So it was like something's kind of interesting here, which is
Yeah.
it. It was very unexpected because I dumped a year into in my own thing, and then it took off on work, and I was like,
Of
man, this is
course.
the
But of course, at
it
work,
was
you have that unlimited content, all these vehicles that you can
exactly
just shoot every day, which, you know, hard to do
exactly
with
yep.
sneakers.
That's the big thing is that I was funding it myself, and I still am, and it's conscious decisions to when I'm buying a pair of shoes, I still have a very resale minded thinking where if I buy the pair of shoes for $250 and I clean them up, and then I can make videos and stuff on them, keep them for a little bit, and then flip them for 300 or 250 even, I'm breaking even where I have nothing into it. And so
Okay.
I'm always thinking about that. Like I just got a pair of um, God, I don't even know the name of it. They're Nike SB Dunks. I gotta look it
The
up.
blue ones with the yellow.
No, so I got those actually. I got the
Yeah.
FTC Dunks.
Oh
I'll
yeah,
talk
those up
about
there.
those. So I
Yeah.
got those for $200 used, and I cleaned them up, and I could sell them for 280, 250 right now, which I'm gonna
Interesting.
keep them for a while just because I like them a lot. But I
Yeah.
also got some patchwork Nike SB Dunks. They're from like
Yeah.
'06. I can't think of the name of them. They're red on the back, they're yellow, and they're all canvas. And brand new pairs sell for like $1,500, and there's used pairs for 700, 800, and I got a pair for 250
Wow.
and on
That's
eBay.
not
And so I
bad.
just was cleaning those up for the last hour, and they were cooked. But so it's still thinking like that, and now it's just transitioned to full content where then it started where companies would send me a pair of shoes to review, and one of the first companies to do that was this company called No Two Ways, and they
Oh yeah,
have
I remember those. Yeah.
it's a United Kingdom based company, and they sent me this pair of shoes. They DM me, and I've never heard of them before. And I was like, "You're just gonna send me a pair of shoes to like review?" And they're like, "Yeah, let's do it." And the guy that founded the company is actually a YouTuber. His name's Calix. He's good friends with KSI, and he's
Mm-hmm.
really big overseas. And so that was pretty wild. And that's when I kind of realized like I can just keep doing these videos, and it'll kind of take off. So it's since
Seriously.
then it's grown to, if you're not following me, it's over 300,000 followers on TikTok, as well as almost 100K on Instagram. And
Killing
it's been a good
Instagram.
hobby. Instagram's
Yeah.
been pretty crazy. And it's funny because everyone's like, man, Instagram's dead. Like, and there's a lot of stuff around Instagram, like taking away photos. And I do like taking photos, but I
Yeah.
mean, Instagram Reels is one of the best forms to grow right now just because of the organic
Insane.
reach.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
It's wild.
that's
I
a
actually
quick
had my
little story
first
on me.
Instagram reel blow up today before we hopped on this call.
Really?
Finally hit like, I think it was 200, 300,000 views on it, and my phone was just blowing up like crazy. Before that, it's been like, 300 views, 5,000 views, kind of inconsistent, but then posted one today and it just skyrocketed. So it's like,
That's awesome, man. What video
all it
was it?
takes is one video. It was just me reacting to those Jordan 1 highs, the bleach dye 'em and kind of tie dye 'em.
Yep.
So I just made a
Yep.
quick video. Hey, this is cool. This is why these shoes are cool, because you can customize them. And just shot up. And I was like, well, you're only one video away at all times.
Exactly.
Like, you never know.
Exactly.
If you don't shoot it and post
Exactly.
it, there's no telling what'll happen. But talking about those shoes that you just had on camera, the first ones they sent you, I thought it was crazy because I think it was the day or the day after you started posting content around those sneakers. I had never noticed them before, and then the next
Hmm.
day I was in the grocery store and I saw some dude wearing those, and
Really?
I was like, that's the most random thing. I've never seen those
Huh.
sneakers, out in the wild in Atlanta, but of course the day after you show them, someone's got them, and I was like, that's so funny. That
That's
is
very interesting
insane.
because I still have never seen anyone wearing them in Minnesota. So I mean, there's not a huge sneaker culture in southern Minnesota, but um,
True.
with winter being 7, 8 months of the year, it's you only got a few months to wear like your cool shoes. So I haven't
Exactly.
seen anyone wearing them. I know their marketing is insane and the way they're doing it, it's really fun to
Mm-hmm.
follow. So if you're not
It's
following No
crazy.
Two Ways, definitely go and follow them because they're killing it right
Hit them
now.
up. Hit them up. That's awesome, dude. So, what got you into sneakers in the first place? Was it just reselling, or do you have like a history, like growing up wearing, whether it's Jordans, Nike, Adidas, and then you just liked them, or what's up with that?
God, I gotta really think. So I was not wearing anything special when I was a kid. I was wearing Reebok Zig Techs and nothing nothing cool.
Dope
I mean
though. Yeah.
it was yeah, I mean it was a lot of it was just like my parents and I we would go to the mall and we'd go to the Nike outlet, and it would
Mm-hmm.
be like once a year before school I'd get to pick out a pair of shoes, and it was I had nothing special. I mean 50, $60, and
Yeah. Whatever they
I did
have
play
that's your size
basketball
that
growing
day.
up. Exactly. Yeah. It
Yeah.
was nothing, wasn't going for releases, or I didn't even know what that was. And so I started playing basketball when I played hockey first for about 7 years, and then I switched to basketball in right before middle school, about fifth grade. So I don't know how old that is, but fifth grade it was. And so I
Yeah.
started playing basketball, and I got a pair of Under Armour basketball shoes. So I was really flexing out there when I was a kid. I
Yeah.
mean,
Oh
Under
yeah.
Armour.
Back in the day,
I mean,
dude,
it's
oh man. I remember when Under Armour came out and everybody was wearing those skin tight Under Armour
yep,
shirts and like Nike
yep,
Shocks. And then every now and then you'd see some Under Armour shoes, but that was like right when they started coming out. So everyone was like, oh, that's the coolest thing ever. But those were crazy.
exactly. And it
I loved
was, I
those.
mean, they were nothing special. I'll tell you that. I mean, it was like they were not a flex. They were very
Yeah.
uncomfortable. I kind of want to find a picture. I don't know where I'd ever find a picture. I got to do some
Yeah.
research after this. But um, yeah, so I was not wearing anything cool. I mean, it was just the cheapest stuff to get by. And then I kind of got introduced to sneakers from basketball in the early 2013, 2012, 2014 era of like Kobe's and KD's and hyper dunks and hyper fuses and just that early era of Nike, early for me at least, of Nike basketball shoes. And I remember going to traveling camps in the summer, and um, one of my buddies had some KD fours on, and it was like,
Mm-hmm.
those are sweet. I can't afford them right now, but like
Uh-huh.
if I could get those, that would be cool. And so that was like, I had a couple of friends growing up that were really into basketball shoes, and I kind of got introduced to that. And um, it was just because they looked cool and they were crazy colorways. And um, for school ball, we had to wear either black, purple, or white for school colors, and so we couldn't wear
Mm-hmm.
anything crazy. And then you go to traveling ball tournaments, and people would just be wearing wild colorways, and so that was pretty cool. And that kind of got me into a lot of YouTube growing up. Of I'd maybe just flip on a Harrison Neville video once in a while, a Kais
Yeah.
video once in a while, or whatever. And I didn't know really anything about it, or Jordans or anything. It was just early Nike basketball shoes. And so that kind of transitioned into high school. I stopped playing sophomore year. I was not very good. I got cut. So that switched to golf. So I
Yeah.
ended up playing golf since I was a little kid. I'm still really into it and played a lot of tournaments growing up. And I just didn't get into basketball early enough where I got the fundamentals down. And I still like playing basketball. I play almost every day, just rec ball and stuff. But
Nice.
just was not good enough for high school. So I still followed shoes and stuff, but it was like Nike basketball shoes was really the introduction to that. And then it was freshman year of college, I kind of got introduced to like New Balance was just beginning to kind of pop off again. And
Yeah.
yeah, just learning from reselling and kind of looking up SKUs on tags, and just really learning as much as I could, a lot from YouTube, especially.
Yeah. Oh, dude. That's where I learned everything for the
Yeah,
most part.
same.
For the most part, you know. Well, sick. I like it. I can dive into me now,
I was
or I
just
don't
gonna
know if
say
there's
what.
anything else you
No,
want to
I
bring
want to
up.
hear about you now.
Solid, solid. So I'm Seth, same old sneakers and same old Seth, whichever. Same old Seth's my personal, same old sneakers on all the socials. Um, but yeah, I'll just start, I guess, how I got into shoes and then just lead from there into content. So, kind of on the opposite side of things, yours was more basketball, mine was skateboarding because, back in
Nope.
2006 to 2012 when I was in like middle school, high school, that was like the big thing because that was when all the Tony Hawk games were coming out and everyone was super obsessed with skateboarding at the time. So me and all my friends would skateboard literally every single day, destroyed probably a pair of shoes every month. Just I just fell in love with shoes from that because when you're destroying shoes at such a rapid pace, you begin to like actually get into it and you figure out all the different brands that you like. So for me growing up, it was a lot of Etnies because that was the big thing
Mm-hmm.
with the E on the side. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
Etnies, Lakai, Fallen, stuff like that. I always loved the Nike Dunks, but could never afford them because I mean you're paying $100 for a skate shoe. I got
That
all
you're
my
gonna
shoes on the clearance
rip
rack.
up.
You know what I mean? I was always
Yep.
like, oh, the dunks look cool, but I'm just gonna destroy it. And a lot of them were made of like leather, and I just didn't like skating in leather. I loved suede, and a lot of the other skate brands, all they used was suede. So I was like, hey, in my head, I'm doing research like, okay, suede lasts a little bit longer on skating. I'm going to go after suede, or these different toe boxes perform better than, this brand. So I'm just hyper obsessing over which sneakers are going to be the best for me to skate in all the time. So I just got super into it, I guess, at that point. But I'm trying to think. So I got really attached to like Ryan Sheckler, Eric Costin,
Hmm.
Paul Rodriguez, all these people that skate for Nike now. So I guess I got kind of into Nike at that point. But really, the sneakers that got me into like the Reddit and everything, where I'm actually doing research on sneakers, were like New Balance and Adidas, because I just loved Adidas. And this was before even Boost came out. I was buying all of their just outlet kind of runners. Any kind of runner that they had, they just came out with like prime knit. So a lot of them had that Roshi run kind of look. So I was super into those. I never got a pair of Roshis. I was very upset about that because those were like the it shoe at the time. And I
Yeah.
always wanted a pair, could never get them. That I think at this time I was working at the Finish Line at an outlet mall, and we would get Roshis in all the time. But working at Finish Line, you don't make that much money working on the floor. So we would get all these shoes in all the time. And I was just like, man, I want to be able to buy these shoes at some point. So, but they all kind of got out of fashion quick. So never ended up actually owning a pair. But I don't know. From that point on, in middle school, I've just always been super obsessed with sneakers, mainly skate sneakers, which is, I guess, why I like Jordans, but they're not my favorite kind of sneaker. I'm just more into like a nice trainer kind of deal, which is what New Balance is
Yep.
killing right now. So,
Exactly.
me being from that kind of background and with all the suedes and materials, I'm just like, boom, New Balance. I love it. Same with Asics. I was obsessed with gel light
Hmm.
threes back in probably like 2012 when I started getting into all the sneaker Reddits. And back then, all anybody posted were like Asics, New Balance, Jordans, whatever it may be. And that's probably when I got super into Jordans because I would just see them everywhere on there. And I was really into the Jordan 6s and the Jordan 11s. I don't think I could ever pull off a pair of 6s or 11s, but back at that time, that was it. I wanted a pair so bad. And I still remember cuz I grew up in the mountains of Georgia, so I live in Atlanta now, but up in the
Hmm.
mountains, no one wore sneakers. But I still remember the one day I saw a dude wearing a pair of just the bread sixes. And that was the first time I've ever seen a pair. And I was just lasered on that shoe. I was like, man, I need to buy this shoe so bad. And I've missed every restock they've done on it. I haven't gone for the last two, but I was like, I just need this shoe,
You
man.
got to get them eventually.
I know. Eventually, I have to. Those and the Concord 11s, I was just obsessed with at that time. So I have a whole list of shoes that I'm like, okay, one day I have to own all of these to make past Seth proud. So I'm like, okay, one day we'll get there. But as far as content creation goes, I've always been on like, sneaker YouTube, like all the creators you mentioned,
Hmm.
sneaker Instagram, whatever it may be. And I've always liked watching their stuff, but never in a million years did I think about actually making any content. The only reason I got into making content at all, which was, I guess, a little over a year ago now, when I started buying all the equipment, getting everything together,
Yep.
studying YouTube and studying how all these little algorithms work and how to
Oh yeah.
exploit them in any way possible. But I didn't get into it until COVID, when everybody was locked inside. Obviously, that's when a lot of people got into content. But so I went to college with the YouTuber Eric. He's like the biggest
Did you
creator
really?
right now,
I didn't
like
know that.
very, very close to Mr. Beast. I'm sure a lot of people out there know him. But obviously, back then, he wasn't Eric. He was just Eric Decker. We went to the same college for a little bit, and then, he left. His stories talked about it a lot. But we actually went to the same, it was like an after school kind of like youth group kind of thing where just everybody would get together, we'd hang out. And I know I just saw him there all the time, and I was like, I like this guy's energy. That's cool. Never really talked to him that much. We had some
Yep.
mutual friends, but I was like, I know this guy. He's cool. And then during COVID, I had always followed him on Instagram too, but just never got his stuff because I guess I didn't interact with it. But I saw a random video pop up of him sitting on a rock saying, by the end of the year, in the next like few months, I'm gonna hit 1 million subscribers. And like that was his whole journey for 2020, was hitting 1 million subscribers. So he started making YouTube videos, popped off, popped off, popped off. Somehow I missed every single one of them until I saw his announcement video of, I'm almost at 1 million subscribers. Help me. Like his whole spiel was like, I'm not leaving this island until I hit 1 million subscribers. And I was like, dude, I know this guy and he's killing it right now. I did not know, because at that time, I mean, I was 25, 26, and in my head, I'm like, hey, if you want to be a new content creator, you have to be young. Like, no one's going to care if you're like a little bit older. Like, they all want new kids. So I just thought that ship had sailed, and seeing him literally start from 0 to 1 million subscribers in a year, I was just like, hey, maybe I can do this. Like, maybe if I just sit down and study all this content and all these different social media platforms, that maybe I can do something too, because I would love to do something, create something, make videos, take photos, whatever it may be, make a podcast. I just wanted to do something. And so I started just studying YouTube probably for the next year or so. That's how I found Colin and Samir, like we were talking about before the show.
Yep.
I got super obsessed with their podcast because Eric was like one of their first guests. He wasn't super big that
Oh,
time.
really?
So I was like looking up Eric on podcasts because I was like, I wonder if he's like talked about his journey and how he was able to get to 1 million subscribers at this rapid pace. I saw he was on the Colin and Samir show, listened to it, took notes, literally sat there and filled up half a notebook with notes, and then got obsessed with their content. And if you're not familiar with Colin and Samir, they do content around just the creator economy and how to build your brand and how to, just navigate this world of social media that we live in. And I just thought it was fascinating and took what I could from them, ran with it, started doing more research on YouTube for all people who can help out content creators. And yeah, I just started making content. My original plan was to be a streamer and just start like streaming Call of Duty, whatever it may be, or just make like YouTube videos around like gaming montages or, whatever it may be, make videos with my friends playing games, which was fun. Tried it for a little bit, never really posted a video, and just kind of quit because I was like, this is a lot of work. I don't even know if I really like gaming that much. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's a pastime. I don't know if I want to associate myself with that. And then, so pretty much just stopped trying to record anything. And one night, I remember I was just laying in bed trying to figure out what I want to make content around. Like, what do I know? What can I teach people about that's entertaining at all? And it just hit me, sneakers. As I was staring into my closet of Yeezys and some Jordans and things, I was like, why don't I just make content around sneakers? I've worked in like the retail space for years, working at Champs, Foot Locker, Foot Action, whatever it may be. So I feel like I knew enough knowledge. I knew, how the hype sneakers worked. I never was really into the hype sneakers, but if you're not into it now, what are you doing? But yeah, I don't know. I just got super obsessed with trying to make content, and it was fun. And so I started making just little TikToks of news of all the sneakers that were coming out, and they did fairly well. Like it grew definitely slow at first, and then I think within the first month of me starting to post videos, I had my first video that hit 1 million, and I was like, okay, so this works. I hit like 1 million views in 24 hours, and I was like, this is crazy. Oh my gosh. Like,
That's a
okay.
lot. Yeah.
Like, okay. I think at the time I maybe had like 1,200 TikTok followers or something like that. And I was just like, okay, this is doable. TikTok's the way to go. So I started only making content on TikTok. and I had a blast. I thought it was so much fun. And then just one day, I guess I got annoyed or just tired of sitting there making videos about news and sneakers, especially if it's stuff that I'm like, I don't really care about this, but I'm going to make a video about it to get views. So I got tired, pretty much stopped making videos altogether like in November or December last year. And I was just like, cool, I did that. I tried it. I'm kind of done. And then, took 5 months away from making content, and then I just missed it. And I was like, I had a little bit going there. Let's take this and run with it and see how far we can go. Because in my head, I want to be just like the best sneaker content creator, photographer, whatever it may be. But I want to be the best in that field that I possibly can be. So we're going to ride it out and see how it goes. But yeah, I love it. It's so much fun. And now I'm working with, it was so funny because I think it was the day I started making TikToks again, I posted them to TikTok and I posted them to my personal Instagram page. So I made 2 TikToks, posted them both the same day. And later that day, I was hit up by the guys over at Sneaker Knockers because I had known them in the past. And they were just like, hey, this video is really good. Be our content creator. Like, help us make content. So now I have this sweet deal with them where they'll send me whatever early pair they get in, and I take all the photos for it. They post it on their channel. I'll make any reels for them for those sneakers and a few like news related reels of just whatever's going on. And yeah, so that's been awesome. So now I'm able to get my hands on some super cool early sneakers that no one's seen before, like the pair you have behind you over there. Like there's some cool stuff they get. So I'm super lucky to be able to, capture these art pieces and show them to the world. I just think it's so cool. And actually yesterday, Nice Kicks reposted the general purpose shoe photos that I took. So that was the first time like a sneaker blog has actually picked up the photos that I've personally taken and edited. And that was the coolest thing. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's the standard. I'm like, okay, we are taking photos for sneaker blogs and we're going to try and get them picked up at every possible point. So I don't know. I'm still giddy about it. So I was super excited, but we'll see where things go in the future. But yeah, that's
interesting because it's a little different because I've been doing the content stuff for a while, and I tried to do the YouTube thing when I was a kid with actually Madden Mobile videos. I made a YouTube channel a long time ago, and I hit like 4,000 followers, and then I was failing Spanish, so my parents made me stop. So I've had a long history of that too. But
man.
Exactly,
right?
Yeah. And so it's interesting because the sneaker game I kind of fell into where you kind of planned it, where you had a lot of knowledge previously.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think this podcast will be really interesting because there's really 2 different perspectives on it where I'm still really new to it. I've only been in it for a couple of years, and the content kind of thing just kind of happened, and I love it, obviously, and I'm posting stuff every day, but it's a little bit different of a viewpoint for both of us. That's why I think it's going to be really interesting to listen when we talk about the newest shoes coming out or stuff getting retroed like Kobe's or KD's or Foamposites, and kind of my stance on it from more of a social media look at it, like TikTok and the way I consume shoes and wear them and stuff, and versus the angle you bring with a lot of knowledge on previous stuff and Jordan 6s and exactly what you just talked about. That's why I think this will be very interesting.
And you came up basketball and I'm skateboarding, and together.
Exactly. I didn't even know about all that skateboarding.
Yeah, they pretty much they are sneaker culture. Like they're the 2 main, I guess avenues that people have to get into it. So it's cool.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because all the skateboarding, I never got into it. I had a scooter when I was a kid. That's about the extent of that. So I never got into it. I didn't know about comparing toe boxes and performance, and I got that with basketball. So it's 2 different avenues, and I get that with golf a lot too, where now they're starting to release Jordan golf shoes, and they have been for a couple of
Mm-hmm.
years, and not even Jordan brand golf shoes, but just Nike
They're
and
like,
FootJoy. When
yeah. And Jordans are
I'd
doing
compare the
retros.
performance on those,
It's
exactly, and it's super
insane.
cool to
It's
see.
insane.
Yeah.
I love
So
that, dude. Because I feel like
should we
that's
talk about a
solid.
couple upcoming
We could.
releases? I'll fire a couple of shoes at you, and I want to get your take on them
Yeah, let's do it.
because I know you know about them. The first one, I want to talk Foamposites. So Foamposites have been around since 1997, I believe. It's a very
That's
interesting
insane.
shoe because of yeah, it is. It's interesting because that's a very different culture from Minnesota, and that's a whole sneaker segment in
Yeah.
itself, essentially. And it's interesting because a big thing we talked about was price point when we were getting into
Mm-hmm.
shoes, and that was a big thing with Foamposites on why they kind of flopped at the beginning and then they took off because the
They were
molding
insane.
process, the molding process and the creation process was very expensive, and so I believe they retailed for 250 when they originally came out, and now
Yeah.
we've seen price points of 500 for the
Yeah, I was about to say.
CDG Foamposites. I always
Yeah.
screw that up, but
Those are
it's
crazy.
yes, I love them, but the retail price is a little outrageous. That's why it's interesting to watch. We just got announced that we're getting the metallic red Foamposites back in summer of 2023. So I don't know if you have images pulled up of those, but I'm curious your thoughts because I know they originally released them in 2012, I want to
I
believe.
think you're right.
Yes, 2012, they first
Yep.
released the Nike Air Foamposite 1 metallic red. It's one of the more popular red sneakers besides Red Octobers or anything like
Definitely
that.
is. Definitely is. I was
So,
always, at least when foams originally came out, I was always a fan of them. They were never for me,
mhm.
just because I'm a small dude. I can't pull off anything that like bulky, So I was
Yep.
always like, oh, I love what it is. Like when those I don't know what year it was, but when Supreme did the foam posits that have like kind of the I don't even know how to describe it. Like it was a black and red shoe, and then it had the gold kind of like foil going along the sides. I thought those
Mhm.
were the coolest thing. Never in a million years would I
Yep.
wear them, but you know, when you're looking at it, it's in that in my head is just like it's a piece of art. Like
Yep.
it's amazing. But I'm excited they're bringing them back. I think it'll be cool. I'm kind of eager to see, you know, in the next few years what is going to be the new hype sneaker that everybody's trying to go after. I feel like, I mean, with the airships, they're finally bringing those back. So a lot of people are going to be wearing airships. They're starting to do foams again. They're starting to bring twos back. So it's like, okay, Nike's like slowly but surely bringing all these old silhouettes into the light. And I think it's so cool.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna go where like you're interested to see what the sneaker community is gonna be, how receptive they are gonna be to this release. Because that's kind of what I was thinking is
That's true too.
foam posits. We kind of had the bulky shoe era, the dad shoes, kind of over COVID, and it's a little bit before that. But I foam posits are I'm 6'1" and I'm a heftier guy from the
Yeah.
college years, but I like them because they do look good on me. Where it's I that's kind of why I don't wear mids is because I'm too big for mids. Where I
Yeah.
think a lot of guys could wear mids, where it's not a problem. It's just they don't fit my foot right because I am bigger. So I've always liked foam posits, and
Yeah.
um, I have a few pairs of them, and I've you can get them used for really cheap now because nobody's wearing them. And so I think
That makes sense.
I know Little Yachty has talked about him wanting to bring them back just because he's a huge fan of them, and kind of like Travis did with SB Dunks. I think it could be done, and so this is one of the first foam posits that they're retroing, which is really interesting. Besides the CVG
Yeah.
foam posits, and so yeah, exactly like the twos and the airships, and we just had the Amam airship release,
Mm-hmm.
and so yeah, I'm very excited to see how well these do. I think they're going to sit on shelves, and I think they're going to probably drop below retail price unless
I'm
something
sure.
changes from now until summer. I don't see them reselling at all. I just think it's kind of a cool thing for people that really like foam posits
If you
now
if
and
you know, you know.
OGs.
A lot of these
Exactly.
a lot of these new people don't know because they haven't really released in the past what 2 3 years. I mean, they've released
Exactly.
some, but nothing
We've had a couple.
crazy.
It hasn't been
Yeah.
anything crazy. Yeah, and that's kind of how like when I first got into New Balance and stuff, and I bought my protection pack for $200 because nobody was wearing
Mm-hmm.
them, and I just thought it was a cool shoe. And now it's kind of like
And then
it,
literally
it
like a
was
month
more,
later, it was
yeah, they went skyrocketing,
skyrocketed.
and a big contribution was 550s became really popular on social media, and
Mm-hmm.
so New Balance kind of took off. But it was like if you're wearing 990s or 2002 Rs or 1906s, like it is kind of a if you know you know type of thing, which I like a lot more than just expensive hype shoes like everyone wearing Travis one those. And
I agree.
the community aspect of it I think is the coolest part. So
I agree.
yes, we got the
There's always that one
Foamposite.
person you walk by that's like, ah, I see you. And you're like,
Exactly. Yep.
I got you.
100%. We have medium olives coming out. Let's talk about dunks because I think it's a really interesting topic because the approach that Nike has taken towards regular dunks, not SBs, but regular dunks like the Harvest Moon or the olives or the Panda dunks are kind of all the rage right now, or the reverse Kentuckys, because I think it's I'm a big stickler on material and quality. I know you are. That's kind of a buzzword for people
Yeah.
like us, but um, I think regular dunks I've never worn because except like the medium curries and the vast grays, or like the suede version of the
Yeah.
grass vast
And
grays. I can't think of
those
the
are
name
probably
of
some of
them.
my favorite dunk lows too.
Hmm.
Just the colors, materials, they're neutral, they go with everything. Those are some of my favorite. I've never had a pair personally, but if I was to, it'd be any of those.
Oh,
But
they're solid, like the veneer pack and stuff like that. But regular
oh yeah.
dunks, they're kicking out all the time. And so I'm curious your thoughts on how long this dunk era is going to go, where Nike is just constantly releasing new colorways.
I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon. I think with the materials they use, they're not using like anything crazy. If anything, they're using probably the same leather as an Air Force One. And in my opinion, I feel like Nike doesn't see a difference between the Dunk and the Air Force One at this point. They're just firing out any color that they possibly can. And I feel like to
Hmm.
Nike, the Dunk is just a white on white Air Force One that's in different colors that they can push out that they know is going to sell. So they're just going to keep pushing out as many colorways as possible until, it's literally the next Air Force One where you're going to see everybody on the street just wearing some random colorway of a dunk, which is cool. But if you're super into sneakers and super into, the hype culture, you see everybody going after Panda dunks. And, if you're into sneakers, at least in the past few years, before probably the past year, like dunks were kind of something sacred that haven't been released in a long time. So everyone's like, oh, dunks are finally coming back. This is awesome. We're going to start getting some different colorways and I'm going to love this and no one's going to have dunks. But Nike didn't see the dunk as, a special shoe or like a shoe that should be limited, I guess.
Hmm.
So they want everybody to have a dunk. And I think everybody's going to have a pair of dunks at this point.
Yeah.
But, obviously if you're a sneakerhead and you see everybody wearing dunks, you're like, oh, no, everyone's into dunks. Like everyone has a pair of Pandas and you take that like personally, you know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know. It's weird. I think if you're into sneakers, you're mad about it. If you're not into sneakers, dude, you're excited because you can get a cool pair of Nikes that just look like a pair of Nikes. That's all they look like. So
And
a
there's
lot of
nothing
people I'm
special
sure are
about them.
excited. Yeah. What do you
Yeah.
think?
I don't think it's going to slow down either. I was thinking it's very capitalistic minded for Nike. I mean, they are a company, they are trying to make a profit, and they see people buying them every time they release them. For the 12th time that they've restocked Panda Dunks,
Yeah,
people are buying them out and they're still reselling. And I think they're going to milk it as much as they can just for the profit wise. And I think regular dunks are different than SB dunks because they are actually cherishing SB dunks a little bit more and they care about
100%.
the story or the quality. But regular dunks, I think, yeah, I think you're spot on. I think they're just going to keep releasing them until they sit on shelves and people can just go buy them.
Absolutely. And I like dunks. No shade if you like dunks. I think they're awesome.
No, no,
But,
nothing
you
against
know,
dunks.
it's just going to be the next, everybody has it. It's a sneaker, you know, whatever it is, it is. But the SB dunks for sure, they are taking those more serious and, they're coming out with still unique collaborations and designs for it, which I love. And it sticks to, the history of the Dunk. That's what it's always been. A crazy, just collaborative skate shoe that everyone loves. But I think I've only owned one pair of Dunks, and it was recently too.
Oh
It was
wow.
those the J pack, like the pack they did with the Chicago colorway of the Dunk. It was the one that came out before the Chicago. It was on the Shadows.
Hmm.
And I actually traded a guy a pair of Biohacks for those,
Yep.
just outright. He was like, I don't like these
Wow.
shoes. I want the Biohacks. And I said, okay. Traded them, wore them for a little bit, and then I just ended up selling them inevitably. But I like
Interesting.
them. I like them. They're cool. I need to get more.
Exactly.
Let's talk the Black Phantoms. What do you think? I've made probably 2 or 3 videos on this shoe already on TikTok, and my opinions were not entirely loved by all, but
Well, I
that's
want
just
to
my
hear your
opinion.
opinion on it then, because I already got one too.
Yeah, I think it's a cool shoe, but I don't think it's going to be worth the probably $800 resale price that they're going to give
Hmm.
it. I'm also not a fan of contrast stitching. It's, it just looks like a pair of Vans, I guess, because they do that a lot. But it's not my favorite. With the replacement laces, obviously makes it look a little better with the red. And then I believe the other's like is it a herringbone kind of stitched pattern or something like that? I think
Something
those look
like
cool.
that. Yeah.
But, black on black shoe, it's a fine shoe. I'd pay retail. That's about it, though. I mean, I don't know. I don't like paying resale price regardless, though, but that's just me.
Interesting. So I'm pretty similar on that. I'm different because most of the outfits I wear straight up are black shorts, black t-shirt, gray t-shirt, whatever. And
True.
so black on black shoes or black uppers or a black silhouette, I just don't own any really. I'm trying to think. The Mocha ones maybe is the closest black toe Jordan 1
Yeah,
or something like that. I mean, got the wavy babies here, but I've never worn them. So
true.
I just don't wear. I usually wear lighter color, or I really wear a bold color, and so black on black has just never been an interest of mine. I do like the contrast stitching. Now that I'm like actually looking at photos and like paying
It
attention,
looks
I kind
good
of
in
wrote
this
them
photo.
off.
It looks good in this photo. I'll give them that.
Yeah, yeah, I think so too. I think I just saw a black on black shoe on Instagram and kind of wrote them off just because that was that. And now that I'm really looking at the details, you can see the red laces match the Cactus Jack symbol on the
Hmm.
tongue. I do like that. I just, if they might have done something different where it was a translucent sole or a different toe box, I think it's another money grab. I think there's nothing
Yeah,
special about them. I think they're gonna resell for 800. I think my guess would be 700 to 800, seven
yeah.
fifty. I think they're gonna
I don't
settle,
think they're
maybe lower.
anything. I don't think they're anything that's gonna push it past the 1,000
No,
mark. But you never know.
unless they're super limited. I really
Yeah.
do not see that, and I don't think they will be. I think that I just have a gripe with. I'm gonna steal that from Colin and Smear, the gripes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not a fan of how many shoes that Travis Scott has been releasing recently. We see the Fragment was not a fan of it. I like the Fragment 1 highs a lot just because
See, I
of the
like the
white toe, and
lows.
I think that
I
that's
love the
interesting. I
lows, man.
think just the sail swoosh was not my favorite. I thought the
Yeah,
colors were just clashing a little bit,
that's true.
but
I definitely get that.
yeah, and just the double clad. I love the mocha so much because brown's one of my favorite colors. And then they came
Of
out with
course.
that. I thought it was a crazy shoe, and I did videos on it,
You're,
obviously. And
you're talking
what
about
were you gonna?
the newest one, not the original, or
I'm talking about the fragment
okay.
still. So, and then the newest one was the swoosh was not my favorite. I love sail colored shoes, and I love everything about it. I just think if you're gonna do a white outer exoskeleton on the shoe with the brown main tone, and then you do a clashing sail with sail laces and a sail mid. Something about it, just
And
white on sail doesn't match as much as it
like a
should.
lot of companies have been doing that now too. Like with the
Hmm.
Pata Air Max ones, they're white and cream. And then I think there's a Teddy Santis New Balance that's white and cream with a little bit of red. And then there's some other New Balances that came out that are white and cream as well. And I'm just,
Yep.
I don't know. I don't like it.
The Pata Air Maxes was another great example. Everyone was hyping those up, and I just was not a huge. I didn't even go for them. I know there's a resell on them. I just, for whatever reason, I love sail colored shoes. I love the off-white fours. I love white and gray and brown shoes. I just, something about it doesn't match. And so the fact that they've released will be 3 Travis Scott 1 lows in the last 16 months, year.
Which is crazy.
I don't know. It went from the mochas, and then we got a couple of years with nothing. So, I mean, I don't know. The Phantom Black low.
And then we got the Air Trainers, and then we got the Air Max ones, and then we got like
exactly, yeah.
It's just one thing after another, and I think it's cool. I love that they're giving him access to this many, silhouettes and colorways. But at the end of the day, and well, to be fair, I guess like his collaborations are unique because they all have little, like little aspects to them that make them different. But at the end of the day, like it's nothing crazy, but. I don't know.
Yeah, no,
I can respect
I completely agree
but
with
it's
you.
a lot.
Yep.
Yeah.
It has been a lot, and it not a negative light towards Travis, but after the big Astroworld Festival, he kind of cooled off for a bit. I think in a lot of people's minds, he wasn't as hype as he was before, and in my mind, especially, like that was a big incident. Like I just watched the Woodstock documentary on Netflix, and and nobody died in that, and that's like one of the biggest like mishits on a concert ever. And if I'm not mistaken, it was 8 people died in his concert, and he basically went dormant for 3 months, and then just started dumping out all these shoes. And I'm very on the aspect of I like limited shoes, and so when not to be like nobody can get them, but I think it's cool when you have a pair of like one pair I've been trying to get forever is the Jordan 1 Low Chinese New Year, the red one.
Yeah,
and there's 7,500 pairs, and I've been looking for a size 11, around $500 for 8 months, and that's like half the fun for me is like trying to get a really limited pair of shoes, and like the journey of getting them. And then once I get them, it's gonna be like, hell yeah, I got the shoes. But like if I can just like everyone has them, and you go to SneakerCon and you see everyone wearing the Mocha 1 Low reverse that just dropped.
Yeah,
it just doesn't seem as special. So
I agree.
The Phantom 1 Low's big mess in my mind.
Yeah, I completely get that. Yeah, my little brother does the same thing with hunting down shoes. It's hilarious. He's very into like gel light 3s, 4s, 5s, and then just, random obscure New Balances. And he'll just like dig through GOAT, dig through StockX, and find all of the crazy colorways that, haven't released in 5-10 years. And he's just sitting there hunting for all these different random colors and sizes. And I love it. It just makes it
I'm the exact same way.
Fun. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm checking eBay filters and GOAT filters every day for these pairs. Like I just got, I'll pull this pair of shoes out. I had a pair of these a while ago, and I sold them, which I wish I never sold them. I finally got a pair of Sand Jordan 4s. It took me a while, and it's women's sizing, so took forever to find them in a 10.5. Really, I'm an 11, but like finding those is even more difficult. There was a pair on eBay for $700 that wasn't wearable, so I got this pair for $400, and it's like this is a pair you don't see all the time.
No.
And so when you do see it, it's like it's cool. And so even though I'm kind of new to sneakers, it's like getting into the old stuff and like collecting the rare stuff or more limited sneakers is really cool. And the hunt for it is, I think, the most fun.
Absolutely. All right, let's look at one more sneaker. Let's
Sounds
check
good.
out the New Balance 1906D in the protection pack because I want this shoe.
Let me see. Ooh.
So the
So this
1906D, that's the one that, who is it? This Is Never That just did the collab with them with the little staining on it. And honestly, that's the first time I've ever seen this shoe, I think, was on their collaboration. But
Same.
all the colorways that they've been doing on this shoe so far look so good. And if we can get this same style in a bunch of different colors, I'm here for it.
So this is interesting because, not even gonna lie, I have the This Is Never That in transit to my apartment right now because
Nice.
That 1906, same deal with the protection pack. I saw that pair of shoes
Yep.
like the month after they came out, the protection pack, the rain clouds, and I was sitting on the couch with my girlfriend, and I was like, "This shoe is so cool, but I cannot pay $250 for New Balance." And she's
That's
like,
the thing with
"Do
New
it,
Balance, man. Yeah.
do it." And I did it, and I never looked back. I wore them all the time. I wore them hiking. I just cleaned them up because they got all muddy at the state fair, and
Yeah.
that's the same deal with the "This Is Never That." I think a lot of people are not thinking about that, and so this is actually the first time I'm looking at the 1906D protection pack. I've never seen these. It looks like we just got leaked images, but
I
these
think
look
they released them today was the
well. There you
images
go.
or
That's why
yesterday.
I haven't seen these yet, and they look
Yeah.
insane.
I
They
love it.
look incredible.
And I don't remember who posted it, but I did see on Instagram someone posted a lot of other colorways that were coming out. I don't think they
Really?
were protection pack, but
Okay.
still different colorways on the design. I know one was
Of
like a
of the
white with
1906?
green. Yeah, it was like a white and green colorway, and I loved it.
Ooh.
I need it.
Yeah,
So a lot of
I
exciting stuff coming from New Balance.
yes, New Balance is killing it. We're both big New Balance fans. If you're not on New Balance yet, then get on it because it's if you like good quality shoes that are going to last forever, get on the New Balance wave. Yeah,
I
these
love it.
are it's almost it looks like a violet purple. Like unless my screen's
Yeah.
not color calibrated, I think they look a dark purple, which is I love because I go to Winona
Yeah.
State and the school colors are purple. And same with my high school, the school colors were purple. So I've always liked purple. And I like it because it's not like a vibrant purple, but more of kind of a casual purple where you could wear it with black pants and they would blend in. But that cream midsole is just looking so
I love it.
nice.
I love what they've been doing with the aging on the midsoles recently. It just looks so cool.
Yes.
They
Yeah.
do it right.
Speaking about aging, I want to talk about. I know this was supposed to be the last one. I want to talk about
You're
Nike
good.
doing aging. I want to talk about. So pull up a picture of the Air Max or the Air Force One,
The green one, right?
the green aged. Yep, because I have a few thoughts on these, and this is exactly why we're doing the podcast. Because
Exactly.
I was gonna make a video on these, but I don't want to do it until I get them in hand, just because I don't think there's enough content where we can just talk about them on the podcast. So I want to pull these up and talk about them because I've had a lot of thoughts about these, and I've seen a lot of other people have thoughts about these.
Which one is it? Is it the women's
So
one?
it is the Air Force One Low Gorge Green. Yep,
Yep. Yeah,
I
I got
believe
you.
it is a women's only release. So let me talk about this quick. So we've seen these popping up everywhere. I've seen them all over the place, and I've seen these. You kind of get a good feel for where the community is with them because you see them on Instagram stories and usually a little caption on the person's thoughts on these. And initially, I love them. I love everything about them. I love that the tag is a little bit aged on the tongue, the rough edging. You can see the raw leather on the side. That's a Foxtrot special.
Yeah.
You can just see everything about them. I love. I think they look very high quality for even the leather they're using. They just look
Ooh.
nice in my
It has
opinion.
a
And I think
leather
a lot of
sock
people have,
liner too.
and I love that. That's
I like
exactly. I
that.
have a pair of Air Force One Jewel Sail, and it's the same deal, and it
Mm-hmm.
feels very, very premium. And these are I love them, and it's interesting because I want to get your thoughts on this as well. There's a lot of people that are getting tired of Nike doing the fake aging. We've seen it with the Nike Dunks, the green pair that came out, where they're attempting to make them look aged when they're not actually aged in their new releases. I think
Yeah.
some of them have looked bad, some of them have looked good, and I think this is one of the shoes that they nailed it. What are your
I
thoughts
definitely
on
think
that?
they nailed it on this one for sure. I'm just not the biggest fan of Air Force Ones. I don't think I would
Yeah, and
wear
that's
them,
fine.
but it
Yep.
does look very good. I like how they made them look vintage and everything.
Yeah, that midsole being yellowed like that. I think it like this is an example of the white and sail working, in my opinion. I
That's
think it
true.
works on this one.
When it's on just the midsole alone, or like, the laces, sock line, or whatever it may be, I think it looks a lot better, but I don't like it when they blend it on the uppers,
I agree. I
you
like
know?
natural aging would actually happen on a midsole. it won't happen on a swoosh or the upper like that. I think it really looks like a legit aging job.
I agree. I like it. I don't mind whenever they do stuff like this. I mean, obviously, not every one of them's gonna be a hit, but they did
Exactly.
good. I like it.
Well,
Solid.
sweet. You got anything else for this episode? I think we'll wrap it up
Not,
there.
yeah, not for this one.
I think it was a very solid first episode. Obviously, bear with us. We're getting through a couple of kinks on recording and figuring out the setup and everything like that. So if you did enjoy this, then definitely follow along. We're going to be posting clips of the podcast on social media. So you're going to be seeing that on Instagram, TikTok, and I believe YouTube, if I'm not mistaken. So wherever we can get that
Definitely.
out. And Facebook, too, because I just hit 50,000 followers on my Facebook page today.
Oh, let's
And
go.
nobody even knows about it. So Facebook
Yeah.
Reels is insane organic growth as well. I had a video get 25 million views on there. So,
Wow.
and this is not a joke. So we will be posting on Facebook. If that's your vibe, then go there and follow. Otherwise, it's Beyond Kicks everywhere. And thanks for watching.
Yes, sir.